Thank you, everyone, for joining us for Enhanced Training Outcomes with Laerdal Medical's latest stimulation solutions. I'm Tracy Mulcahy. I will be presenting with Alyssa Lapierre and Aaron Ziegler today. So let's go over our learning objectives for the day. They are to explore the features and functions of SIM critical care, gain an understanding of Mama Ann and its potential impact on obstetric care, such an important topic. Meet Paul, a high-tech, high-fidelity premature baby simulator, and examine SimCapture's full-scale simulation management capabilities. So one of the things we wanted to do today was give you some insights into our recent IMSH conference in Orlando, Florida. So the first thing we're going to do is introduce each one of us. So again, as I said earlier, my name is Tracy Mulcahy. I'm the product marketing manager for our medical emergency and trauma portfolio. So what does that mean? All things SimMan and adult simulation care, along with our partner products like SonoSim and VitalSbridge. I've been with Laerdal for 11 years. My first 9 was as a senior client executive in New Jersey before I moved over to the marketing department and became all things SimMan. I'll turn it over to Alyssa to introduce herself.
Thank you, Tracy. So my name is Alyssa Lapierre. I'm a senior product marketing manager on the Laerdal team, focusing on maternity and newborn portfolios. Similar to Tracy, I started out my journey here in a sales role and then moved into marketing. Overall, been here for about 7 years and have loved every minute of it. So with that, I'll pass it to Aaron.
Hello, and I'm Aaron Ziegler. I'm one of the SimCapture Impact Managers. And in my role, I help clients with utilizing SimCapture for running their simulation center. A little bit of my background, I am a nurse and I worked in higher education for 15 years before coming over to Laerdal in 2022 for this role. So Tracy, can you go ahead and share with us a little bit about critical care?
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. So this is a little insight to our IMSH booth and SIM and critical care on a ventilator. So we're going to dive, what we did at IMSH is we took, SIM and critical care has a tremendous amount of features and functionalities that helped you as our healthcare providers and teachers to reach their learning objectives. And this is just an insight into one of the ways that we had SIM and critical care with the ventilator capabilities, which we'll dive into a little bit deeper later. So our next slide is about our IMSH ER immersive experience. This was such a great, fun learning experience for attendees. And there's going to be a little short video to kind of take you through what that experience was like. So I hope you enjoyed that little snippet. So just to kind of recap, and Aaron is actually going to talk a little bit about what we were doing in that first section there where you saw everyone with the iPads. The attendees came in, they were immersed in a trauma scenario of a motor vehicle accident with a mass transfusion protocol. And then they were moved into the middle. That's where you saw SimMan Critical Care, where we went over some of the features and functionalities that we used in that trauma scenario. And then we took the data that we learned from that on-site Accelerate experience at a hospital in Delaware and kind of tied it all together for our attendees. So what I'm going to be talking to you now is the specifics about SimMan Critical Care. And we at Laerdal kind of like to put them in 3 buckets. So the first is realism, the second is usability, and the third is modularity. So I'm going to be diving deeper into each of these sections, but I want to bring a couple things to your attention. So from a realism standpoint, we partnered with Igmar Medical and the ASL 5000, which is the closest thing that we can get to a human lung. It's lung similar technology that was external that we put into SimMan Critical Care. He also has unarticulating pelvis and arms, real-time BP and SpO2 so that you can use your own vital signs devices, defibrillation using your own defibrillator devices, your own pads with what's called our live shock technology. And lastly, but certainly not least, is he has bilateral humeral IO IM and bilateral IV access. So you can see from a realism standpoint, he still has the needle decompression and chest tube insertion as well. So lots of critical care functionality for your teams. Usability. So he's completely tetherless, and that is to accommodate in situ and real-time training. So later on, we're going to talk about kind of that healthcare continuum and how SimN Critical Care can help you through all of those aspects. He also has the ability to do high fidelity ventilation training, whether it's pre-hospital and CPAP administration to emergency medicine, anesthesia, pulmonology and respiratory care, along with ICU. So he really has a great amount of usability and function. And with that, you can pretty much use any ventilator and almost any mode of ventilation. There are some little caveats to that, but they're very, very limited. And lastly is the modularity. So he has the ability to be configured, a couple different options that fit your training needs. One of those is your skin tone. So he comes in light, medium, and dark. He has changeable head skins, which is a new release, and we have geriatric and female head skins along with a female vest. And we also have the ability to add modules like ultrasound, vitals bridge for real-time monitoring, and of course, trauma limbs. So right now, I know this slide's a little bit busy and it gives you a lot of information with regards to all the features and functionality of SimN Critical Care, but we're going to be focusing on the respiratory features, which is the fact that he holds tidal volume at 800 mLs, full range of resistance and compliance, again, completely tetherless. We can pretty much simulate any respiratory condition, maintain therapeutic PEEP levels, and also you're going to see, which is so amazing, he actually not only breathes spontaneous from a chest rise and fall, but he actually has the ability to move air, positively and negative pressure air, which I'm going to show you next. So what you're seeing here is real air movement. So with our ASL 5000 technology, he actually has the ability again to create positive and negative pressures, and he's actually pulling in air and exhaling air in real time. There is no other simulator on the market that has this amazing technology. What you'll see here also is an animation of the lungs, but here you can actually physically see how we took that technology and we broke those lung pistons in two and actually inserted it into SimN Critical Care's chest, and they now have become his real lungs. So you can see from the chest side of the chest wall, we have made no changes with regards to the spring in the chest plate and the sounds. So what that means is that gives you that quality CPR feedback that you always loved and have learned to use with our SimN simulators. So that all stays the same. You don't lose any functionality, you only gain. So next I want to talk about the interface and how powerful and easy this is to use. So what you're seeing here is the instructor LEAP application along with what we call our advanced lung module plugin. So what that does is the first section that I want to talk about is that big green circle where it says normal. So what we call that is our quick choice menu. So this easily allows the instructor to change disease states like asthma, ARDS, ILS, ARDS. So it easily changed the carousel with one click and then apply. Up on the top, you're going to see three buckets, our quick choice menu, which we just discussed, our lung model control, and our breath effort control. So in those two tabs, very easily, I can change my resistance, my compliance, my muscle pressure, and my breath rate. What you'll see in the middle now is the waveform. So what makes this so powerful is in the video where we showed you the ER immersive experience, you're actually, even when you're bagging, you can get real-time feedback with regards to how well I'm oxygenating that patient, right? What's my rate, how many mLs I'm pushing, and what effectiveness of my oxygenation. Up on the top and your right-hand side are all the wonderful things that you're used to having if you have one of our SimN simulators, where I can easily change my vital signs, I can change my airway, at my sounds, and all of those easily tabs across the top that we can use to change our physiology. One of the most powerful things about the ALM plugin is the ability to save custom models. So why would that be important to you? So as you know, a lot of our respiratory disease states have kind of morphed from COVID and RSV. And so I can easily go in here, go into my tabs, change all of my parameters, like our, again, compliance, resistance, muscle pressure. And all I have to do is slide this bar over and click Save Current Model, give it a name, and now every time I go into my quick choice menu, all I have to do is slide this bar and all of my custom lung modules will come up and they will be preset for whatever lung condition we want to create. And then the last part is they are really easy to export and import. So what that means for your large hospital systems or education facilities that have multiple campuses is that one person can create and they can share with the rest of their organization. So it's really user-friendly and really a great way to meet your individual learning objectives. So now that we've talked about usability, let's talk about kind of another part of the vital signs part and practicing like we practice. So what you're seeing here is a typical, Dynamap vital signs monitor where we are using the real SpO2 probe and we are using a cuff for which has a modification into your vital signs monitor so that you get real-time automated BP and SpO2 using your machinery so that you have that, again, another immersive way for your students to learn on your equipment. We also have the capability to have different types of presentations of patients. So it's really important for us that every life matters, right? And those representing different types of patients. So you'll see here with SimMan Critical Care, it's now a 1-zip up the back and 4 little tiny lure locks for the fluid system. And you can now change your patient to be a geriatric patient and a female patient. Along with the head skins, we also have the capability of the female, what we call our female retro kit. So what's included in that is the female vest, the genitalia, also a wig and moulage kit. And to your right are trauma limbs. So one of the things that we did, obviously, in our trauma scenario at IMSH was we also showed our partnership with Symmetry and some of the different trauma limbs and fasciotomy kits and other things that they also have to be able to bring that trauma component into SimMan Critical Care. Another modularity piece is the new Laerdal amputated leg. So what you'll see here is this too has the ability to be on critical care with a quick change of the leg. And you can see here that we're demonstrating that as we put that tourniquet on and apply pressure, the bleeding will respond according to how well I position that tourniquet, and the blood will stop based upon my interventions. So along with those add-ons, we also have the ability of our partner products. So 2 of them, most importantly, with critical care is SonoSim and Vitals Bridge. So with SonoSim, one of the things that you also saw within the ER immersive experience is we are dealing with a motor vehicle accident where we needed to quickly determine whether or not that patient had internal bleeding and whether or not we needed to put our mass transfusion protocol into place. So this is a great way to add on real-time ultrasound into your critical care scenarios to be able to determine that and be able to start that process more efficiently and quicker. To your right is what's called our Vitals Bridge. And you'll see underneath the monitor, you'll see kind of a block there with, it says Vitals Bridge, and then you'll see a small CO2 canister to your right. What that gives us the ability to do is to use that real-time GE, Philips monitor, whatever you're using, and also have the ability to monitor CO2 gas exchange as well. So those can be even more powerful. So from a modularity standpoint, as I talked about earlier, is SimMan Critical Care is made to order. So you have a couple different configurations that you can choose with regards to defibrillation. So what you see up top here is our standard, the defibrillation studs, which has been our technology in the SimMan family for a very long time. So you still have that option, but you now also have the option of live shock. And what that gives you the capability of doing is using your real-time defibrillator with your real-time pads, just like you would if a patient was coding in your hospital or in your education center. So again, it gives that practice like we practice. And then on the bottom, we went over this earlier, is your articulating arms with NIBP. So in the articulating arms, we not only get the SpO2 and the automatic blood pressure, but you also get IM and humeral IO, along with bilateral IV ports. So you have that option, and then you do have the option of our RFID drug recognition arms along with manual blood pressure. So you have all different configurations, up to 12 different configurations with the skin tones so that it meets your learning objectives. And lastly, from a critical care standpoint, we really feel confident that SimMan Critical Care can help your institutions save more lives one breath at a time. From your first responder and that first respiratory distress call where I'm administering CPAP or BiPAP, to that air medic transport, to the emergency room, operating room, intensive care, and really all the way through to being sent home, right? Rehab and other things. So I greatly appreciate your time in the very quick overview of SimMan Critical Care. We have put a QR code up, so take time, take a second to get your phones out and click into that QR code. That'll give you more information and bring you to our Laerdal website and request more information. So I hope you found that helpful, because I think SimMan Critical Care is just an exceptional and powerful tool. I'm now going to turn it over to Alyssa to talk about Mama Ann.
Thank you, Tracy. That was an amazing overview. I hope everybody got a lot out of that. And if you got a chance to snip the QR code there, you can learn even more. But thank you for that. That was great. Now moving into Mama Ann, I'm extremely excited to introduce this product to you. Maybe you've heard about her already, maybe you haven't, so you're at the right place either way. Mama Ann is actually one of our groundbreaking solutions that we've designed specifically to address one of healthcare's most pressing challenges, which is reducing maternal morbidity and mortality. And this is a topic that is very near and dear to Laerdal's history and just us in general. So we hope you are interested in this topic. And over the past year, we've been working a lot to bring this simulator to the market and collaborating with healthcare professionals and education partners to really showcase how transformative Mama Ann can be for obstetric care and simulation training in general. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the development, and you'll notice some key themes here that Tracy also pointed out with SimMan Critical Care around realism, usability, modularity. So this is going to kind of flow into a lot of what we talk about today. But we did learn a lot when we started to build Mama Ann from the experience we've had with her predecessor, SimMom, and also by listening to you, the customer, who's been instrumental in helping us build this new advanced version of a maternal health simulator. So what we did here is really designed to transform the user experience from A to Z and really offer unparalleled engagement through realism and usability. So with Mama Ann, you can build confidence and competence in managing those highly critical obstetric emergencies through high fidelity simulation training. And we really want to hit on, again, these three key points that we talked about. So how does realism come into play here? So one of the things we look to improve, especially with Mama Ann, is her skins, her articulations, which are incredibly important for having births the way the mom wants those to happen. So whether that's in different positions, such as all fours or on her back or sitting down, whatever works for her, we want to make sure that this is an option as we go through the birthing process. The automatic delivery system was completely reinvented, and it's something we're actually going to check out in a few slides. and the sensors to enhance realism. So we've added some sensors that allow for palpable contractions, for suprapubic pressure sensors, so we can really understand when those actions are happening and what that means for the sim and how it progresses through the birth process. Usability, this is a big one, and I think from a paradigm shift perspective, we're seeing a lot of simulators, especially at Laerdal, really focus on a tool that people can use versus something that just has the most features possible, and we're just trying to shove everything we can into a simulator, but making those really intentional while also simplified enough for people to be able to use and not feel intimidated by. We saw this a lot with SimMom, where perhaps one or two of the features were a little bit cumbersome, so we might stray away from those, but that's exactly what we don't want. Those features are still as important for the training outcomes, and they're things that we believe should be easy to use. So that was definitely a big topic of discussion when building out this product. Now, modularity, how does this fit in? One of the things we did here was really adapt a lot of different bleeding options and solutions for this product in particular, as well as how it expands into the future to adapt to scenario needs. So if that means we're looking at future bellies in the roadmap as we evolve with Mama Ann, such as C-section bellies, early assessment bellies for ultrasound, if we want to look at things like maternal initial cardiac arrest. These are all things we have in the roadmap for Mama Ann that will allow us to bring even more modularity to her features. So moving into this next section, we talked a little bit about IMSH already, but I wanted to kind of bring you along to not only what our customers have said and their first impressions on the solution, but also a little bit of a deep dive into what they actually saw. So starting off with first impressions from customers, I'll play a video in the next slide.
I think she's great. See how she's able to articulate the movements, her abilities, the different births that she can do, the variations that she can go through. I think that's completely awesome for students being able to have that experience in a safe learning environment before they even go to a clinical site.
And the realism and the ease of the function that is what I really like. And she looks more like a human being than some of the other ones do. So.
I like the fact that it's going to have different bellies, all of that, so you can do different, modalities and everything for the students. And yeah, it's been very interesting, especially I've only been doing this for right at a year now. So seeing something new like this is, definitely exciting.
I really like everything about her. It's really more life, real life. I like the ports. I just like everything about it, yes.
I like the new skin. I'm glad y'all are finally have articulating elbows on your simulators. So a lot of positive here.
I think.
So I wanted to kind of point out that they organically really started to talk about the things we just touched upon in the previous slide. So they talked about things like the ability for articulating arms, the lockable elbows. So those allow us to have a really stable position in all fours for Mama Ann. They talked about the variations of the birth, the modular bellies, the realism, some of the internal components we heard, and just overall the usability of this product. So I think just organically, they started to really touch upon these points, which goes to show that our efforts in building with the feedback from our customers is something that is really important to us and ultimately drives great adoption in simulation for these products. In the next videos, I have some really interesting clips. I'm going to walk you through essentially what we went through with customers at IMSH. So if you weren't there, this kind of gives you a glimpse into what we talked about, what everything looks like. We're going to start with regular setup for Mama Ann, moving into a breech delivery setup, looking at the fluid systems, and then eventually moving into what a PPH setup looks like as well. So if you want, you can follow along. These videos are quite quick, so I will pause them throughout to walk you through and make sure everybody is kind of on the same page. So what we're seeing here is I'm going to be opening up this belly, and then we're going to see how the internal components look. So if you're familiar with SimMom or maybe another obstetric simulator, this might look very different. This is, again, completely reinvented automatically delivery system. So it's extremely simple. And again, we wanted to make it something very approachable and manageable, something that almost needs pure muscle memory once you've done it a few times. And so I'm going to show you how we would set up for a normal birth, OA, OP, or a shoulder dystocia. So we lift up that lid, and then what we're going to do is come and grab the baby and the placenta that is attached to the baby. And we actually have that little placenta pocket in the bottom, which is really nice, keeping that out of the way. Although we still have the ability to manipulate the cord, whether we want to do cord prolapse or just keep it tucked away for the birth. And then what we're seeing here is this baby actually clamps into this puck here, which I'll talk about in a second. And that kind of slides in, and then the baby is secure and ready to go. So that's really all that it takes for, again, OA, OP, or a shoulder dystocia, which is really nice. You have one setup with one puck. In the next video, we'll look at the breech setup, which is really where we remove this and add in a different piece. But as you see here, we have a really clean, open concept delivery system. The fluids are inputs and outputs, which I'll talk about in another video, but again, nice and simple. In this next video, this is how we go about setting up a breech birth. So really the only difference is this puck here. So what we did is we just, it's a really simple click here on the side of the puck. We lift that up and then we input this. It slides in very easily. And as you can see, the main difference is this component here, which is what pushes the baby out. Obviously, as we have the baby going out bum first versus head first in the other setup, we don't want the head to be leaning against those clamps that we saw in the previous puck. So that's really the main difference here. But from a mechanical standpoint, these are working in the same function, pushing the baby out as the scenario progresses. In this next video, I thought it would be interesting to see the fluid system. This is something that maybe if you're a sim tech or one of the educators that is very hands-on in sim, this might be interesting for you. So here we have our reservoir. So this is in the thigh of the leg. We have two reservoirs, one for urine and one for blood. The urine holds up to 375 mils, while the blood holds up to 1.5 liters. And these are very simple click in and out reservoirs. So you don't have any lure lock systems. They're really easy to come in and out. And as you can see, there's a lot of room in there, and you can put your fluids directly in there so they get loaded into the system. We also have an external blood tank, which I don't have as part of the video, but it's essentially an external piece. It's a blue bag actually that will plug into the system if you need even more blood in your scenario, if you're doing back-to-back PPH scenarios, which can hold up to 5 liters of blood. So moving into the last component before I go into the next section is the PPH setup. So we have two different PPH setups. We have what we call a clean bleed, and we have more of an internal uterus setup, which is what we're going to see here. So what happens here is we're going to be adding this uterus component, which is an additional modular piece. We plug that into the fluid system here, and we clamp that into the base of Mama Ann. So before I continue, I wanted to just showcase that this system is a really important part of the PPH scenario. This is our inflow, this is our outflow, and really specific to the blood tanks, whether we're using the external tank or that internal tank we saw in the video prior. The system is a smart system, meaning that if nothing is plugged in here, it knows to automatically pull from our internal reservoir, which is really nice. Nothing you have to do on the software. This is automated. If something's plugged in or not, it knows what to pull from. If we plug something in, that's usually because we're pulling from the external reservoir. So the same sort of clamp that we saw here would come into this port, but be fueled by the external blood tank. And then this gets routed through the system and comes out through that uterus. What's also nice about this is if we're doing a retained placenta scenario, we have a magnet piece that holds the placenta piece in place. So we don't have any more need to suction that component into the uterus. We can do a full uterine sweep and go and get that retained placenta piece. If we have a heavy hemorrhage scenario and we want to use medical devices like a Bakri balloon or a Jada device, those are all compatible with this solution. If we wanted to do a clean bleed, so let's say we're doing a birth straight into a PPH scenario, we can have a clean bleed mat, which two come with Mama Ann. These are essentially similar to, I kind of think of them like a Ziploc bag almost, but a really big one, and they lay right under Mama Ann to simulate the blood dispersing over the sheets, but everything is clean and housed within that bag. So instead of this being connected to the uterus here, we would have it connect to the bag over here, and essentially the fluids would go in the same way. So whether we have it routing through the internal reservoir and coming out through the clean bleed mat. So I hope that gave you a nice perspective of you know, what it looks like under the hood. And that's really what we went through at IMSH. Before I move on to Paul, I did want to talk quickly about maternity MR, which is a brand new beta program we're running with Mama Ann, which is really amazing. And quickly want to give an overview because mixed reality is a technology that's up and coming. We've seen it with a lot of different products across various industry, and really what it combines is that virtual and real world environment. And with this beta program, if you have a Mama Ann, if you have a Prompt Flex, if you happen to have MetaQuest 3s, this is a program I would highly suggest. I'll play this video as well, and it just gives you a glimpse into what this looks like. So essentially, we can use it on a real simulator like Mama Ann or a Prompt Flex, which is more a task trainer, and just enhance and elevate some of the sim from a conversational AI component. So this will give you a good idea. In this case, I'm wearing the headset. I can still see everything that's going on around me, so it's really just an overlay. But what's nice is I get to really engage with the patient. The patient responds to me. I can ask any question that I feel is relevant to the scenario, and through conversational AI, they reply back, and you go through that scenario as you would in real life. The great thing too is one of the cases is shoulder dystocia, so you actually have the ability to lift the legs, but you're not just doing that with thin air. You can actually manipulate Mama Ann as you're working through the core cases within mixed reality. So if that's interesting to you, we have more information on that on our website. So I will put this QR code here if you'd like to take a moment to scan it and learn a little bit more. If you forget to scan it, you can look up Mama Ann just on Google or maternity MR on Google, and you should find our pages and learn a little bit more. In this next section, I wanted to talk about Paul, which is a really exciting product that we have in our portfolio through a partnership with Sim Characters. So this partnership brings even more advanced training solutions to our hospital and educational institutions with a really big focus on neonatology and pediatric care, ultimately allowing us to continue helping save more lives and addressing and improving patient outcomes. So if you didn't know, we actually partnered with Sim Characters in 2024 and became their exclusive distributor. So we've had them in our booth 2 years in a row to showcase their beautiful solutions. This year we had the opportunity not only to have Paul, but we had his sisters Emily and Emma, which are solutions coming out later this summer, and we're really excited to present those in another webinar eventually. But today we're really going to focus on the flagship product, which is Paul. So Paul is a 27-week premature baby simulator developed by a team of medical and design experts. Jens Schwind, who is the CEO and founder of Sim Characters, is himself a neonatologist and has worked tirelessly to bring this product to life literally, and has done an incredible job by combining anatomically correct 3D printed airways based on real-life preterm MRI scans. They focus a lot on the physiological and pathological breathing patterns with this premature simulator, and really making sure that it's as lifelike and realistic as possible, not only feature functionality, but also from a visual perspective, which is truly important in these NICU spaces. So from anything competency to critical care, Paul really reshapes how simulation training takes place, specifically in neonatal care, and helps everyone really situate themselves in a NICU and working with such a tiny, tiny human and making sure we can address and save more lives. So in this next section, I'm going to be playing a video. It's a short snippet from a product showcase we actually hosted a few weeks ago. I will put the QR code to that showcase right after, but I wanted to show this as one of the really key features with Paul is his incredible airway. So I thought I would play this video for you all.
One thing you mentioned was the 3D printed airways based on real-life MRI scans of preterm infants. Is this because airway management is so important for preterm infants?
Yes, of course, airway management is key in the stabilization, but also, of course, in the resuscitation of preterm babies, and so we put a lot of efforts into this, yeah.
Are you able to demonstrate for us?
Yes, of course, sure. So I will turn him a little bit around. So, thank you so much. And yeah, and you can see his airway, and our aim was to develop the most realistic airway in a patient simulator, and I think our developers did a good job. Yeah, so neonatologists and RTs love his airway, and if you intubate him, of course you can see the tube going inside over there. Yeah, and it feels very natural, and you see it looks super realistic with all the moist, yeah. And of course you can do oral intubation, but you can also do what's mainly done in most of the European countries. You also can do nasal intubation. So both nostrils, of course, are open, are patterned. And so if you intubate him nasally, you can see the tube coming here. And now normally you would use, thank you so much, normally you would use a McGill forceps to insert the tube into the trachea. Yeah, and you can do this, of course, also with Paul, so both is possible.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch the rest of that really great product showcase, that was Jens himself, along with our product manager, Miriam, who is a midwife. So they have a great array of knowledge to share during that showcase. So I have that particular QR code there for you. I also have the QR code to just the general Paul webpage if you need that. So I'll give you a second if you need to scan those, and then I will pass it along to Erin, who's going to take us through some sim capture updates.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. I love seeing that. As a pediatric nurse, just seeing that really touches my heart and how realistic it is. It's amazing. So with SimCapture, what SimCapture is, it is a simulation management solution designed to support your center's operations and enhance the quality of training. And instead of using multiple platforms to manage your simulation center, SimCapture streamlines your processes into one single web-based interface, boosting your return on investments by providing seamless workflows and collecting your utilization data. With SimCapture, you can effortlessly record and debrief any simulation experience, ensuring that every session is a valuable learning opportunity. It supports you in delivering consistent, high-quality simulation training and allows instructors to maintain educational standards across all sessions. Additionally, SimCapture standardizes and automates your clinical exams, making assessments more efficient and reliable. It fosters an environment of collaboration through peer-to-peer and individual practice, encouraging learners to engage and refine their skills. And with SimCapture, you can gain valuable insight into learner performance with comprehensive analytics, empowering you to tailor training to meet the specific needs of each participant. And it can also provide you with some of that big picture data that's going to identify opportunities for your program. SimCapture has been continually evolving to adapt to the needs of simulation education community. And this year, we have an array of exciting additions and enhancements in store that will further enhance your training experiences. So one of the features that people were really excited about exploring at IMSH was our LMS integration. Last year, we introduced LMS integration where our system was able to receive data from your LMS system, like courses and rosters. And this year, the LMS integration will be able to synchronize learner scores from SimCapture directly into your LMS, eliminating the need for manual data entry and reducing duplication of work. This streamlined process enhances efficiency and allows instructors to be more focused on teaching rather than administrative tasks. LMS integration is compatible with most major learning management systems such as Canvas, Moodle, D2L, and Blackboard, to name a few. And one of my favorite features that was also of high interest at IMSH is inventory management. When I used to run a simulation center, managing inventory was one of those ongoing headaches for us. And so this last year, we launched our new inventory management feature that allows educators and administrators to efficiently track and manage within the system your capital items, such as task trainers and IV pumps, to your consumable items, such as gloves and syringes. You can connect your inventory to reservations and scenarios built within the system to eliminate that manual tracking. And you can also make in-the-moment adjustments when recording. For example, if you had a learner that broke sterile field and needed to grab a new Foley kit, you can change that and add it into the activity directly, instead of having to do it later or try to count it out later. And there are reporting that's also available for giving insight on what has been used, what you have available today, and what you will need in the future. This gives you a better picture of how your assets are utilized and enables you to maximize your resources, as well as plan and budget more accurately and justify your investments. We are currently finalizing our pilot test for SP management. In collaboration with our clients, we have been developing standardized patient workflows in SimCapture to help with optimizing recruitment, onboarding, scheduling, and communication with your team. It helps streamline SP management with identifying, managing, and assigning SPs to appropriate scenarios, and includes tools such as demographic tracking, filtering, searchable tables, and the ability to bulk edit and more. Scheduling is enhanced through the ability through availability charting of your SPs and integration within the scheduling tool. We also have a mobile option through our mobile camera app. With this app, you can live stream your training from your mobile devices, such as a phone or a tablet, and coming soon, we'll be able to record offline and upload that into the cloud, allowing you to film regardless of network coverage. This gives you the opportunity to take training beyond the simulation center. I've had clients who've been using this for in situ experiences, in the classroom, in the field, and also off-site. And as an educator, it has been very fun to see the different creative ways that people are using this new feature. And just like with your live stream recordings in your simulation center with mounted cameras, the video is immediately available for annotations, evaluations, and debriefing. And you can have multiple mobile devices recording at one time, and they can be synchronized with their videos. And the setup of it is very quick. Once you download the app onto your device, you log into SimCapture, put in a 4-letter code into your phone to connect it with SimCapture, and you are ready to go. And so at IMSH, as we shared earlier, we had an ED immersion experience, and the team used our peer-to-peer feature in SimCapture in a creative way to engage the observers during the scenario. In SimCapture, we have a feature called peer-to-peer, which allows learners to practice skills either with a partner, hence the name peer-to-peer, or by themselves and work through a digital checklist. The original intent for this feature was for the skills lab or a skills course so that you can see how often your students are practicing, identify areas where they might be struggling before they even get to where they're testing out, and to enhance engagements by students by watching their peers while completing a checklist and developing those soft skills by providing feedback. But people have been exploring how can this be used in different ways. And as I shared, at IMSH, the immersion experience used this tool to gather feedback from observers in the scenario. And from what we were, and from that, we were able to track feedback, knowledge, and performance data. We had over 120 people fill out this form during IMSH, and we had some fun information that I would love to share with you. So with the first question, as you can see here, we can see from the observer's perspective which steps which steps were included in the primary assessment using a select all that apply style question. And then the next two questions were knowledge checks of the observers, asking when would a massive transfusion protocol be activated and what would the next steps be? And then the last question was rating the quality of the team's closed loop communication. So this was a fun and easy way to engage those observers and also collect valuable data on the scenario. So now we have a QR code for SimCapture as well that we can share. And be sure to reach out to your sales rep if you have any questions about SimCapture. We'll love to learn more about how this can help you at your facility with running and managing your simulation center. And so I'm going to hand it back over to Tracy, who's going to share with us a little bit more about Laerdal.
Thanks, Erin. I mean, what great solutions we provided today. I hope that you saw how these 4 solutions, Sim and Critical Care, Mama Ann, Paul, and SimCapture really help you enhance your training outcomes. So we wanted to say thank you. For those that don't know Laerdal that well or know our illustrious history, you're looking at Osmond Laerdal and, of course, Tora Laerdal. So basically what we want to say today is we appreciate you taking the time to find out how our solutions can enhance, but really what it comes down to is our mission of saving lives and you being our partner in order to reach our mission of saving 1 more million lives every year to the year 2030. So we are confident that Laerdal is your partner in all things finding learning objectives, but we hope today these 4 solutions really showed you and gave you an insight to some of the things that we did at IMSH this year in Orlando, Florida. So thank you for coming. And if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you to Erin and Alyssa for being wonderful presenters today.